Hey y'all, this is Nina with www.southernaccents.stampinup.net, and I am continuing my series on Stamping 101, card making basics, whatever you want to call it. I was working on this card and I said heat embossing. That is one way that you can really step up your card, and it is gorgeous. It's one of the techniques that made me fall in love with card making. So I am going to show you the heat embossing technique and the stamp sets that I'm using. This hardwood background stamp and Rose Wonder. This Rose Wonder set is just got a lot of good sentiments in it. It's just a great versatile set to have. I've already stamped my card base. It's crumb cake card base, and I stamped it in crumb cake using that hardwood background. But I'm going to use this rose image, and it's a pretty large image. I'm having to use the biggest Stampin' Up! Block. I had already stamped my sentiment, and I'm embossing it in copper. I've already done that, but I wanted to do the rose in copper as well. So to heat emboss, one of the first things you're going to need is an embossing buddy. Now this is what's going to make it look good on your card, because it's got powder in it, and you rub that across your card, and that takes away any of the static that will be in your and it keeps the embossing powder from attaching to other places on your card from the oils in your hands and stuff. You also need to use Versamark ink. Versamark is a very, it's a watermark ink. It's very sticky. It doesn't dry very quickly. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. Remember, tap, tap, tap. No chest compressions. But getting good coverage. And now, instead of trying to pick this up and turn it over, I pretty much know where I want that rose. I want it kind of in this bottom corner here. So I am just going to line things up and lay my card base over the stamp, and I'm just going to rub. In fact, you can take another piece of paper and just rub. Make sure you get good pressure, good coverage. Rub it all over. And then very carefully, you want to pick that up. No smudging. I don't know if you can see the outline of the rose, but there it is. I'm going to set that to the side. Now, that clear piece of paper that I have, that is going to catch my embossing powder. And I'm using copper embossing powder, and I'm just going to sprinkle that all over that image. Just don't worry about wasting it, because most of that's going back in the container. Give it a few thumps, a few flicks. If you have some scattering, I've got a paintbrush somewhere. But I think we got pretty much good coverage. I think that's that hardwood that I'm seeing through there. So I'm just going to put this back in my container. And now get ready for the magic to happen. You need a heat tool for this. A blow dryer will not work like when I first got into it. You need a heat tool. I do not have the Stampin' Up! Heat tool yet. The Stampin' Up! Heat tool has two settings, a low setting and a higher setting for different techniques. But y'all know how I am. I got to save my money. So this heat tool, just move it slowly across the stamp, and I'm going to hold it up because when it starts, do you see it getting shiny? Just move that across. Sorry for the noise. But can you see? This is what made me fall in love with card making. And you want to make sure, if you don't want to hold it on there too long, because it will burn it. You want it to stay real shiny. And there it is. Now, this is the greeting that I had already made. And I threw in a quick tip about the making your own colored baker's twine. I've got a separate video for that, but what I did, I just laid it out on a towel, paper towel, and it's pretty much almost dry. And that was like 30 minutes ago. So now, what I'm going to do, I need some dimensionals. Where did my dimensionals go? Here they are. So I've just taken some dimensionals and glued this sentiment to my other piece. Take those backings off. And I want to set this right there. Then I'm going to take my colored baker's twine that I made. And I'm just going to wrap it around my card. Well, I say that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to wrap it twice, because I want to have enough to tie a bow. Listen, wrapping this baker's twine is taking as long as making the whole card, isn't it? I'm just going to wrap that around. Oh, it's not very tight. Okay, I'm going to tie a tight knot, and then I'm going to tie my bow. This is the part of crafting where you need about 4 hands. All right, and now I'm just going to tie my bow. Ends. So I almost forgot about the inside of my card. I'm going to use this sentiment in that same Rose Wonder stamp set. Somehow God knew I would need a friend just like you. And I think I'm going to emboss that as well with the copper. So I'm going to use my embossing buddy. Just get that covered real good. My Versamark ink pad. ink the stamp up real good. Hold it there for a few seconds, get good pressure. Pour my embossing powder. I always put this back in right away because if you're like me, you're going to spill it. It's going to go everywhere. So now our heat tool. And get it up close so you can see when it starts to turn. Just like that. And then that rose, I just want a little bit in the corner. I think I'm going to do it in the turquoise. So I'm just going to ink up the rose part. And I just want it in the corner. I am going to turn it over for this. This is one of the things that I love about making my own stamps, is you can make your cards, the inside of your cards match the outside. You can make your envelopes match. Got a little bit on the leaf, but that's okay. And this is the very vanilla. I wanted in, I didn't want stark white. And I'm going to take my Tombow. This one's not open yet. Here it is. One thing about heat embossing, I don't know if you can see it, it can warp your cardstock, but if you use a good adhesive when you glue that down, now, one thing I would have done different with this card if I had thought it through, I probably would have still used the crumb cake card base, but I would have made another layer of crumb cake with the hardwood because it is kind of flimsy, but I'm giving this to a friend, and I know that she'll love it anyway. So there you go. That's my heat embossing, and that's the finished card. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.